This is Ryan Elliott for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. I'm down at the City Gym in Las Vegas today. Delighted to be joined by Leroy Caldwell, a veteran of the heavyweight game. Leroy, first and foremost, thank you very much for having me down, for agreeing to do this interview. How are you today, sir?
I'm fine, just fine.
That's good to hear. Now, I thought it'd be good to sort of get you on camera. You fought a who's who of heavyweight boxers during your career. You spent a lot of time around boxing throughout your life, so I just thought we could take a little trip down memory lane, starting with, obviously, we're from Britain. You did fight over in the UK against Joe Bugner way back when, over, I think it was the Royal Albert Hall. How was that experience going over there in 1972 and fighting on British soil?
I loved it, you know, the people were great, you know. That was a great trip, you know. The only thing I didn't like is that they disqualified me for bobbing and weaving, you know. They said they wanted me to stand straight up, but I wouldn't do that. So the referee started wanting me from round 1 all the way to 5 when you stopped the fight.
When you look back now on that fight, do you still feel a bit hard done by that the fight was stopped by the referee?
I feel that it shouldn't have been stopped. No, I feel because I wasn't hurt or nothing, you know, just a different style. The fighters over there, they got this stand-up style. And America's fighters, they move and they bob and weave a lot, you know. And he said I was horseplaying, but I was not horseplaying. I'm trying to get the hell out of the way and punch it.
Obviously, you went on to have about 70 fights in your professional career. As I mentioned before, you fought a whole host of names. But going back to the very beginning, what was it that got you into the boxing gym in the first place? What got you going in your career?
Boxing, street fighting in the streets. And this old man saw me fighting in the street, and he had this barbershop. I was fighting right by his barbershop. So I beat these two friends. They was two friends. I beat them, knocked both of them out. And he told me I could be champion of the world. I said, no, I can't be letting nobody punch on me, you know. I just won't let that happen, you know. I won't box. But I thought he gave me his number, said if you decide to fight, call me, you know, let me know. So I waited a couple of weeks and I called him back, you know, but I wanted to learn how to knock people out in the street faster than I did, you know. But I wound up going to the gym, and I wound up liking it, you know. So I went from there. So one day I was home resting, and promoter called me. Hey, Leroy, I want you to do me a favor, you know. What's that? You know, one of my guys fell out, and I want you to fill in. I said, oh, no, I don't want to box. He said, I make it worth your while. I said, what's that? He said, I give you $50 for 4 rounds. I said, oh, hell yeah. I said, I'll fight, you know. So I went to the weigh-in, you know. And I fought, and I won the guy, beat the guy, and I really thought I was tough then, you know, so I just kept going from there.
People talk about when they first go into the boxing gym, they catch that bug, that boxing bug. You said there you took a liking to it very quickly when you got yourself in the gym. How instant was it when you went down there and realised that this is something you enjoyed and this is something you wanted to sort of pursue as well?
Well, when I did that, when that fight, you know, and just the sound of the crowd, you know, how they rooting me on, hey, great cheering for me, this and that. This is what I want, because I always liked it that, you know, I liked the big crowd, you know, so I went on from there, and I kept going. So I won my first 4 or 5 fights in a row, you know, and then they started putting people, top 5 contenders on me, like George Foreman, Ernie Shavers, Ron Lyle, Oscar Bonavina, Big Cat Cleveland Williams, Pinklin Thomas, all those type of guys, Trevor Burbick, you know, all those guys, you know. So I just said, well, what the hell, I'm doing it, I'm going to keep doing it, maybe I'll be champion of the world. But I never did because I never had a manager or trainer. I just did my own thing, you know.
These days, a lot of fighters in modern boxing are criticised for maybe not taking the risks or jumping in with big contenders like you've just said. You fought anybody at any time. What was it within you that made you do that? Was it your self-belief that made you happy to take any fight?
Of course. I feel I can beat anybody until they show me different, you know. I didn't feel no more man than I am, you know. The name of the game is who get there first, and most of the time they happen to get there first.
One person I wanted to get your thoughts on, we are here for Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury 2 on Saturday evening. We were talking off camera about the punching power of Deontay Wilder and where he ranks among heavyweight history with his power. Now, you happen to fight a heavyweight that punched exceptionally hard in Ernie Shavers. Could you just describe what it was like being hit by Ernie Shavers for the first time when you got in the ring with him?
Well, I'll tell you, it's very simple. When Ernie Shavers hit me right at my forehead. When he hit me with that right hand, I thought I could take it, right? But I took it straight to the canvas. I never didn't know I was hurt or hit until they was taking my gloves off. He had knocked me out. He's the only one that ever knocked me out, and I didn't know nothing. He knocked me completely out, and they took my gloves off, and I didn't know nothing about that. So all the rest of the guys, most of the knockouts that's against me are from exhaustion, me not being in shape and get tired, get knocked down, and can't get up, you know. But Shavers, he took me out.
Do you rank him as the hardest punching heavyweight of all time, having shared the ring with the likes of George Foreman, etc.? Does Ernie rank above anybody else in your mind in that regard?
Hardest one I ever been hit by. And I've been hit by a lot of hard punches, but he's the hardest hitting one I ever been hit by.
Now, when you look back at your career and all those names you mentioned before that you've shared a ring with, who was your toughest opponent? I know you said that Ernie was the only one that hit you so hard you didn't know what had happened, but who was the most exceptional fighter you feel you shared a ring with?
You know, I felt that a light heavyweight, that's when light heavyweights was fighting heavyweights. A light heavyweight by the name of Lenny Bennett. He's the toughest one that I fought. This guy, he blinded me from the second round, cut both of my eyes, had me blind from the second round all the way through the ninth round when he decided to stop the fight after I knocked him down.
Now, when your career sort of came to its natural conclusion after 70 plus fights, and that's what you'd known for so long, going back to that time, did you find it difficult to adjust to not fighting anymore, to finding something else to sort of fill your time and that void?
Yeah, I miss it a lot, and if I could turn back the hands of time, I would go about a different way. Because the fighters nowadays making all this big money and they ain't worth a damn, especially the heavyweights. Only a few out there, a handful of heavyweights that's really good. Other than that, back then, all the heavyweights was good, but now it's only a handful of them.
We'll come on to the current heavyweight scene, but we are down at the City Gym today. I've seen you here sort of casting your seat, watching over the next generation of fighters, giving a little bit of advice and keeping an eye on them. What does this place mean to you, to be around here and keeping an eye on all these kids as well in their journeys?
It means everything to me. It's just like me sitting in my living room. I'm just as comfortable. Whenever I come to the gym, I'm very comfortable. No headaches, no worries, no nothing. Just love what I'm doing. Trying to share with them what I didn't get. I'm trying to give it to them. But I got the knowledge to make heavyweights, make world champions myself. So I feel that. So this is why I'm doing what I'm doing right now.
You and I were talking about your experiences in sparring as well before we turned on the camera. When I told you I was from Britain, you said, "Oh, Frank Bruno. I used to spar with Frank." What was that relationship like with Frank, and what were those rounds like way back when you two were sort of practicing together?
Frank was a big, strong guy. I mean, he was huge. It's a damn. Man, when I first went there, Jesus Christ, I didn't know who he was, until I got there. And this guy took his shirt off, said, God damn, I'm fighting Hercules, I was sparring with Hercules, but they took me over there to teach him how to bob and weave, because the British fighters, most of them straight up. So they was teaching me I was teaching him how to bob and weave and all that, And so, like I say, it was great. It was a great experience, Yeah. A great experience. Also, I forgot about him. I fought this South African heavyweight champion, Jerry Coetzee. Yeah. Coetzee, whatever his name. I fought him over there too, And I was a sparring partner for Jerry Cooney when he fought Larry Holmes for the world title, So the ones I didn't fight, I was a sparring partner, like Michael Dokes, Bone Crusher Smith, Tony Tubbs, Tony Tucker. I was a sparring partner for those guys, but I didn't fight them, but I was a sparring partner, so it was just like fighting when they get ready for fights,
When you look back now, all the names you shared a ring with, I know you said if you could turn back the hands of time, you would do things differently, but do you still feel proud of the fact that you fought anybody and everybody and shared rounds, not only on the big stage, but also in sparring with anyone and everyone as well? Do you feel proud when you look back?
Yes, I do, and the reason I feel that what makes me feel proud is that I fought all these guys that's well known all over the world, and I didn't make any money. But what makes me proud is I did fight these guys, that's making money. So that makes me proud. I'm still here. I still got my faculties. I still cross the street along. I know what my wife looked like. So so it's all good.
Now, just on to this weekend's fight, Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, a huge rematch out here in Las Vegas. One thing I wanted to cite your thoughts on, Deontay Wilder has that punch that can just turn your lights out at any moment. You experienced that with Ernie Shavers. How does your approach change to a fight when you're in there with somebody and you have that fear knowing that one wrong step and you're gone?
You know, I don't know. To tell you the truth, when I fought, I didn't think nothing about no power. I didn't think that, like I said, I didn't think one man was no more man than me, you know. So I don't, really, it's no big thing to me, but I feel that if the fight go to distance, I feel Fury will win the fight, if it go to distance. But if it don't go to distance, you know who won the fight. If Wilder hit him, he ain't going to get up this time. If he catch him right, he ain't going to get back up. But he got the first hit him.
We were talking about Tyson Fury just before, and you were sort of praising him, saying you appreciated his movement and stuff like that. Is he a bit of a throwback heavyweight for you, Tyson, the way he moves?
I think Tyson, if he move the way he was moving, and keep moving, don't just stop moving and try to knock him out, like he said he would knock him out in 2 or 3 rounds. That's bullshit there, you know. He better keep moving, get on his bicycle, stay on his bicycle until the fight's over.
Well, Leroy, I'm very appreciative of your time. Thank you for sitting here and telling your stories to me, and I'm sure I'll catch you very soon.